So, hello out there, and welcome to my first ever. Well, I say it's my first ever podcast. It's my first ever podcast telling stories. So, if you're here on purpose, well, actually, if you're here by accident, thank you. Uh, so, let me just tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. So, I've had other channels before, and I've just really not had a lot of fun making videos and stuff. But one thing I do enjoy is telling stories. I've kind of been that way ever since my kids were little. One thing I've always liked to do is just sit down and just come up with ideas. I've written stories, uh, but I like telling stories that are real, ones that are made up, fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is. Uh, I enjoy storytelling. So that's what I'm going to do a lot on this channel. Uh, this channel is going to be, well, really, I call it a channel. I really don't want it to be a channel. I really want it to be more of a community. So, okay, there's a difference. A channel is something you watch. A community is something that you're part of. And I really want people that want to be part of a community. Um, so one thing I enjoy doing is I want to have fun, whether that's talking about stories, whether that's talking about music, sports, gaming. I just want to have a good time. But anyway, all that out of the way, let's get into the actual story. So this story takes place, I guess it was about, 20 years ago now. So at the time, me and my wife, this story is about me. I'm Terry, my wife, Barbie, and my cousin Jimmy. And Jimmy, I'm sorry. I know we've almost told nobody this story, so at least I haven't. So this, like I said, it took place about 20 years ago, right? So here's what happened. Me and Barbie had recently bought a house. We moved out. We had been married not long at all. And we decided we wanted to upgrade and move into a bigger house. So that's what we did. We found us a house that had a basement in it. I wanted to put a pool table in. So I was like, I want something with either, a big den or a basement. So anyway, so we found this place and it had a basement. Okay. And I'm not going to actually tell what we did just in case, because I don't want anybody going out and actually doing it. Because trust me, we did not know what we were doing. Needless to say, you'll see what I'm talking about. So like I said, we buy the house, we start moving in, we start getting everything ready. So I decide, okay, I want a pool table and I want to put it in my basement. Okay, pretty typical request, right? So we get one and everything, and before we put it in, we decide that we decided there had been some mold issues in the house, and we're like, we can't have that. So we talked to some people, and we're like, what gets rid of mold? What would you recommend? What it was, this basement. This is an important part of the story. The basement didn't have windows or anything. It was more like I guess you'd call it more like a cellar than really a basement, because there was no access to it, totally underground. It was just a basement and no windows. So we find out what to do to get rid of the mold and everything. And we go and we start working on getting the mold gone. And we're going through, and it's all three of us. And we're going through and we're using this chemical to get rid of the mold. So we're going and we're just cleaning away, cleaning up mold. And, we're wearing, I can't remember, we're wearing some kind of masks or something. I can't remember because, we were dealing with mold. So we was wearing masks. You're going to find out why I had a hard time remembering here in a minute. So anyway, so we're cleaning away and everything. And I think at the time, me and Jimmy both smoked. I think. Anyway, or we was getting something to drink. I can't remember what it was. But we decided, hey, let's go upstairs for a minute. Let's take a break. So we go upstairs. I'm pretty sure we both smoked at this time. So we go upstairs, and Jimmy's like, hey, you want to go smoke? And I'm like, sure. So I get out there, and we start smoking and everything. And all of a sudden, Jimmy starts laughing. And I had walked back in the house. And then I start walking back toward him, and I hear him just bust out laughing. I just hear, and I'm like, dude, what is wrong? What's wrong? What are you laughing at? He said, have you noticed anything? I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean if I noticed anything? And he said, well, just wait a minute. He said, just go over there and have a seat for a second. And I took about 2 steps. And then all of a sudden, the floorboards start moving like this. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what? What is wrong? What happened? And he said, I don't know. He said, but I'm having a hard time concentrating. And I thought, oh no, what have we done? Well, I get to thinking that we're in a basement, right? Using a chemical. And I immediately think, oh no, it's got to be the chemical. And we happen to have some of it out there with us on the porch. And I pick it up and I try to read it. And it's like, only use in a well-ventilated area. And I'm like, yeah, we messed up. We messed up. And about that time, I remember Barbie is still down in the basement with the chemical. Me and Jimmy have been up on the porch probably for 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, Barbie is still down there. What are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know. And of course, I'm high, so I'm like, I don't know. Did we call somebody? And he's like, don't call nobody. And I'm like, we gotta get her out of there. So we go down there. We walk through the house, right? And we go up next to the stairs to where you go down into the basement. I look down, and have you guys ever saw The Ring? You know, the girl comes crawling up out of the well. That's what Barbie's doing, climbing out of the basement. She's walking out, or she's not walking. Her body's about an inch off of the steps, and she's got both arms and both legs, and she's military crawling up the stairs. And of course, I can't help because I'm sitting there. I can't even walk. I start to walk down the stairs, and I'm like, whoa, no, that's not gonna happen. So I'm like, hey, you're doing good. You're doing good. Come on, you got it. And we're all just dying laughing. And after about 15 minutes, she gets to the top of the stairs. And she comes up and she's like, what? What's wrong? Have you ever saw anybody that was high, didn't know they were, and didn't really do anything to get there? So she is like, she don't know how she got there, but she's happy she's there. Okay? That's the point she's at right now. And she is she's laughing. She's making no sense whatsoever. None of us are. And we said, well, what do we do now? I said, we can't go back down there. So what are we going to do? And they were like, let's go sit in the car. And of course, me being, out of my mind, I'm like, okay. We go out there, y'all, and we sit for probably 3 hours. I'm talking. I don't remember a lot of the conversation. There's one part of the conversation I do remember. At one point, me and Jimmy are in the front seat, talking, probably laughing, if I had to imagine, because that's 90% of what was coming out of our mouths was laughs. And then all of a sudden, I hear a burst out laughing from the back seat. I mean, just cackling. And I'm like, what? And I turn around and I'm like, what? And she's laying there and she's like, the trees are waving at me. And I'm like, okay. I guess at that point, I'm sure at that point it made total sense. And I probably agreed with her. I probably said, hey, they're waving at me too. Y'all, I was messed up. There's a reason they say to use that stuff in well-ventilated areas. And seriously, don't try to do it. It worked out for us, but it very easily could not have. Nobody got sick or anything off of it. And that was my first thought, was, oh Lord, I hope we don't get sick or something off of this. But we didn't. It all worked out good. We ended up finishing getting rid of the mold and everything. And it all worked out. But yeah. So at the time, me and Barbie were super young. Jimmy was a little older. Really, I blame this on you, Jimmy. You were the older one. You should have been the responsible adult. No, seriously, it was all of us because we were just, and we had no clue. I'm talking, we had no clue until we were up here. And it was an interesting day. Quick, fast day. Boy, that day just flew by. Went so fast I can't even remember it. So anyway, but that's my story, okay? And I'm sticking to it. So if you got here and you made it through the whole story, thank you. I'm sure if you caught up at any point in the middle on the live stream, not sure how many I've got in here live, but hopefully you guys jump back to the start if you caught the middle of it. Hopefully it was a good story. I've got a few like that. But like I said, I love telling stories, y'all. And I've got some I've written that I would love to tell. But like I said, I want to have a channel that is more than just one thing, because I feel like I'm a multifaceted person. I can do more than just sports or comedy or entertainment or music or whatever. I could probably do 2 or 3 of them anyway. So I do want to have conversations on other things. I'm also working on some skits I think that'd be pretty funny. So if you guys are interested, join the community, okay? Come hang out with me. And let's laugh, have fun, and occasionally learn something. Who knows? Thank you, guys.